You cannot find more valuable time, which is, and the hospital staff will adore you because
We are not
you are not complaining or bugging or anything.
If you go inward like that, then you will also not feel pain.
Absolutely. Because they kept on asking me, and I said, look, as far as the pain is concerned, I don't need anything. If you want to come in the night so that I get 8 hours of sleep without waking up in the middle, you can put something in my IV, and that's it. The day they arrived, I took all the pain pills out. That was it. So they prescribed me when I was flying and say you are going to need this because we have taken these stitches out, but and the reality is that this side of my chest is still sore to the touch. The bones still feel it. When I press, I feel that these are still sore. I don't take any painkillers.
Your threshold is high.
That could be it. That could be also. But the point I'm saying is that, to your point, when you go inward, ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸੁੱਖ ਦੁੱਖ ਤੋਂ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਆਜ਼ਾਦੀ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਏਗੀ, ਉਹਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਮਸਲ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੈ, ਟੈਨਸ਼ਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ, ਸਟ੍ਰੈਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ. That's not going to go away. But your focus goes away. And when you start doing it, ਹਾਏ ਮੈਂ ਮਰ ਗਈ, ਉਹ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਾਣੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੁੱਛਦਾ ਇੱਥੇ, ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਬੱਚਾ, ਕੋਈ ਟੈਲੀਫੋਨ ਦੇ ਕੋਈ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਲੱਗੇ, ਫਿਰ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ? The pain actually multiplies. The movie that she was talking about, I saw that movie, The Secret. And one thing you probably observed, that they have not talked about the spiritual aspect of life at all. They are only focused on the material strength. If you need it, focus on it. And the difficult part out of that is start acting as if you already have it. Prepare yourself so that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, how are you going to start acting that you are already a god? Think about it. There are two conditions in that movie. The name of the movie is Secret. It is based on Neil Walsh, a guy in Seattle, who wrote the books Conversations with God. And there are 3 volumes on that. And so they have said that they have proven scientifically that the life in general is governed by the quote-unquote, the secret. And the secret is, it's governed by the laws of attraction. So, what does that mean? Well, whatever you focus more on, psychologically from your side, that's the energy you attract. That's the kind of energy you attract.
It's also about manifesting, right? Yeah. So that's the aspect.
So that, yeah. So they say if it's not there, nature will make sure that those type of forces will gather around you and it will manifest.
But a lot of people have talked about it before. This woman just put it together and she made it.
Yeah, but see, these are not mass laws. Anyway, whereas Neil Walsh, in his book, stated it exactly the opposite way. He says, whatever follows I is what's going to happen. Now look at that, the way he plays with the trick. You are a co-creator with God. So when you say, I want money, that's exactly what is going to happen. Think about it. I want money. What does that mean? Nature will make sure that you keep on wanting money. See that trick?
I see.
Whatever follow I will happen. I need love.
But will not have satisfaction. That's what it is.
I need love. So you'll keep on needing love. You'll make sure that you keep on needing love. So that's Neil's construction. So what is the lesson here? Stop desiring. Stop just being happy with what you got.
I don't think that's the secret, right? You're talking about something else.
No, I'm talking about Neil Walsh's The Conversation with God. Now, these people have come up with a variation of that theme and say, if you are focused on something, let's say, I don't like my wife, I don't like my wife, I don't want my wife, I don't want my wife. Because your focus is not wanting the wife, nature is going to make sure you have enough of it. It is going to attract that energy. So, you instead of, so they are, for 2 hours, they are showing these various examples of people that they changed their way of thinking and focusing, and they were able to attract that type of energy from around themselves, which made their life better.
I actually have
Economic.
people who've done that.
Yeah, no, and I don't doubt that. See, that's what I'm saying.
Willpower, that's what's called willpower.
The
No, it's about manifesting.
a manifestation, it is manifestation example, but what they are not talking about, that this idea is not new.
No, it's not.
It has existed on this planet, not in this time frame, but way back. Yeah, Napoleon's and Alexander. I mean, what was Alexander's idea? I want to rule the world. No matter, Socrates said it, Aristotle said it, don't do that. And he said, no, I want to rule the world. Okay, so he started putting the energy together. And what happened? He was in his mid-30s. That's it. Couldn't even get home back. Couldn't go, he came up to India but couldn't go through it. Had to go back, the people and all the, even though they were all supporting him and everything, he couldn't finish even half around the world, much less our world. Napoleon, Genghis Khan. There have been people on this earth who have been trying to use that power of positive reinforcement, manifest it, create that in it. It is not a universal law. Number one. Number two, it does not apply to every type of desire. Just I gave you the example. I would give up all that I have if I can be with my ultimate creative energy right at this minute. And that has been my whole journey for the last 30 years. I ask for nothing, wish for nothing, complain about nothing. But it doesn't apply there. Why? Because the second part of the equation is you have to start believing and behaving the way that you already got it. Stop saying I am poor, I need more money. Okay?
I'd like to talk later.
Yeah.
about that.
So, no, I mean, we since you, I have that, I copied that on my, I have a disk. So, I think we are not meeting in 2 weeks now, right? Right. So if you want,
Yeah.
we can meet and see that movie together and we can talk about it.
Yeah, I think it
Is it
follows
The
what
Secret?
the belief
Huh?
stuff.
The Secret?
Let's see.
Yeah. That one is commercialized, but there's a deeper meaning to it. And I think it follows the things in the what the belief. So it's
And
important.
some of the speakers are the same
Yeah.
from what they believe. I could recognize them that they are the same, and they are leaning back on the quantum physics also, because quantum physics, they talk about quantum physics also, that scientifically they are proving it. Yeah.
We can email it. We can get together where whoever wants to watch it.
Yeah.
I want to watch it too.
Oh.
Sounds interesting.
Well, I know you have a key to the house. We all come back here.
I have key to my house too. We can go there too. They're not here.
It doesn't matter. I know you have the key.
But I have key to my house. I know that.
Now you're welcome to me.
See, the quantum physics, what is the basic assumption? When do the laws of nature, as we see it, change? When the billiard ball becomes a photon. Isn't that true? Billiard ball is solid. Photon behaves solid and a wave. So, how does it apply to the human then? These senses are only trained to experience the billiard ball. They cannot experience the photon.
It's funny, I'm reading this book. I haven't been able to
That
put
is
it
where
down.
the challenge is.
This is about the photon and a DNA actually.
The question is, can the consciousness, your consciousness, your observer, be that sensitive that it can experience yourself at the quantum level? Now, if you want to experiment that, how far you have come up, you can do that right here tonight. When you go to get that cup of tea at the end of the session, take a sip and focus your consciousness and observe the hot tea traveling down your food pipe, and see how far you can feel that. That's the extent of.
Only up to here. No.
Because if you are sensitive to the quantum, you can literally watch your digestive system actually turning that tea into blood. It can be done. It has been done gazillion times.
So maybe that is how maybe the ancient or the scripture which were written without surgery.
Precisely. How did they know?
They knew.
That's how they knew it.
They knew.
You just
way-
hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, actually, in this book, they talk about
Yeah.
Vedas.
Yeah. So that's the point I'm making, that the quantum scientist is completely oblivious to the fact that in order to, what they are seeing is they have an electron microscope which is taking something and multiplying it millions of times, and then they will observe the behavior. Now, can they observe the same behavior within themselves without the microscope? If you can do that, you can walk through the wall without any problem. This wall would not stop you, because your entire being becomes that photon. So what is walking through the wall then? Not the body. It is that observer who's watching the photon. that goes through it. And then comes back and say, yeah, I've been across the wall. I know what is there. I can tell you exactly what is there. So the body then literally is a shell housing that consciousness. Why can't you do it today? Well, I look at the wall, my eyes stop right there. Because that is all it is trained to do. So the purpose of meditation, whatever technique you use, is to start honing the capability of that observer. And we will talk about that today, because that's the preamp to our 11th Ashatpadi. Because in the last one, we were looking at that those who have given a deep thought to this difference of life of apparently solid, but in reality an illusion, and has ignored something which appears to be illusion, but in reality the actual reality. Those who have seen that, who are those? Nanak Shabad Vichariya. Those who have gone, vichar literally means to go deep, to think, to be able to distinguish. Distinguish what? The word, Shabad. Those who have been able to, out of the word, see that distinction, they were able to go to the state of Paye Guni Nidhan. That was the last line. Now, how is it feasible? And it takes to the next layer and says, Re man, aisi harsyon preet kar jaisi jal kamle. Now, Gurbani is going to now create some visual pictures in front of our mind and say, visualize this. Because there's no direct way of communicating that thought. It's going to say, visualize this. Visualize what? Like the first simile is the flower that is inside the water. I mean, there are flowers outside also, right? It's saying, no, look at the fluidity and the temperance of the environment. Kamal is a lotus. Okay. So, the lotus flower is inside the water. Now, what is happening to it? Its roots are in the dirt. Right? If the water was to dry around, it will be the ugliest sight and smelliest sight. So what's happening? The roots are responsible for pulling the energy up from the ground. The things passing through the body, the stem, before it gets to the leaves, the petals, by the time all the smell and the dirt has been taken away, and what we see on the top, pure beauty. Right? It's living in the dirt. Is it complaining about the dirt? No. Is it mad with it? No. What's happening? It is using that very input to its roots, and like a metamorphosis, it converts. before it gives out the distribution into pure fragrance, pure beauty. Not only that, लहरी नाल पछाड़िए भी विगसे असनेह. See, that's not the only thing. In the water, every time a little bit of wind blows, there are waves. So what would the waves do? Well, whip it around. Lahari means waves. Naal pachadiye means to kick it around. But what does the flower do? Bhi vigase asanehe. It says he is still in the same happy and fragrential and reverential mood. It doesn't get mad with the water. It doesn't complain about it. It takes whatever is being given to it, converts into from the worst possible scenario to the best possible scenario. And as the nature changes the environment, it just takes as it comes, that's it. Now, when you explain this to a modern mind, and I don't mean that you are not modern, but when you give to an argumentative mind, you say, well, come on, crazy bum, that's a dead matter. I'm a living being. How can I do that? So, no, you are not being asked to become a kamal, a lotus flower. You are being given the example of the characteristic, the behavior that you will have to inculcate within your being if you are desirous of Nanak Shabad Vichariye Paiye Guni Nidhan. If you are desirous of achieve that state of Guni Nidhan, the treasure of all there is, if you want to be part of that, then you would need to develop a characteristic. Here is an example, go observe it. The flower does not have the destiny or the potential to be one with him. But he does have the characteristic to be one with him. He doesn't have the destiny. You do. Unfortunately, you don't have the characteristic. You have the potential. So you are being asked, you have the potential but not the characteristic. Flower has the characteristics but not the potential. Learn from it. So if you can learn from it, which is jal mein ji upaye ke jal bin jal marn tane. Why does the flower do this? He says, well, here is the secret that flower knows. Everything has come and being sustained by water. So if water gets a little bit angry once in a while, you say, right. Isn't it? How does a child tolerate a mother, a father, but the same child, when becomes a husband and a wife, doesn't tolerate each other? What's the problem? What happened? Same characteristic, when observed in your spouse, and I'm sure every mother knows it, that when their daughter or daughter-in-laws come home and they explain or tell something about their spouse to their in-laws, they say, yeah, we know, Yeah, he or she, yeah, they do have that habit. I mean, yeah, he grew with that. To them, it was very acceptable. Is it not? All of the mother-in-laws can very easily relate with that. That for them, if the spouse complains about a characteristic of their spouse, mother-in-law or father-in-law would already be aware and say, what's the big deal? But if the same characteristic manifested in their own spouse, would they say, what's the big deal? No. Why? Gurbani says, here is the reason. Because the one which nourishes you, nurtures you, and raises you, and supports you, develop a certain rights also. Psychologically, you are more forgiving of those who have nurtured you and raised you than those who are only partnering with you. So Gurbani says here, look at the depth of the thought here. It says, Jal mein jiya upay ke. He said that lotus flower knows that the entire creation sustenance is dependent on water. Is it or is it not? And water doesn't mean just a thirst. We cannot eat if we didn't have the water. It's not just a thirst. The fluid, the liquid, is part of the entire sustenance of human life. And you can think about that, how deep that thought is, that the entire existence, every pleasure in life, for all senses, is dependent on the liquid. Go think about it. If your eyes are not moist, see how long they stay open. Think about it. Try to taste something.
You can't feel the touch without the water.
There is not a single pleasure in life where the liquid is not playing a role in a human life. So, when it has such a nurturing thing, and not for one, but for the entire creation, says, I know without the water, life is not going to exist. Bin jal maran tine. Whole of the creation without the liquid will actually die down, will get destroyed. So, when the water behaves what? Lahari naal pachadiye. When it sees those waves coming up and down and kicking it around, what does it do? Bhi vigse asnehe. Alright, now let's bring it down to our level. Who's sustaining us and supporting us? The ultimate creative energy, is it not?
Right.
So when once in a while he doesn't give what we want, what do?
Good.
Isn't it? What happened to the bhi vigase asnehe? We don't have that. We completely forget that he is the sustainer of everything. He is the giver of everything. He is the provider of everything. And if one thing or few things that are not to my taste, according to my liking, and I don't get it, do I stay centered? Do I stay same equipoise? Now you see how the metaphor, how deep that metaphor is to the human life. That's what they are saying. Rayman. That's how it started, right? I mean, the whole conversation starts, Rayman. Oh mind. ऐसी हर स्यों प्रीत कर. Develop the type of love. If you are really on the path, what type of love? जैसी जल कमलेह. The type of water and the lotus flower. And then it describes in 2 statements its further expansion. And it's and the whole of the Ashatpadi is full of those similes. So, मन रे क्यों छूटे बिन प्यार गुरमुख अंतर रव रहा बख्शे भगत भंडार. Understand that. Without that type of dedication, it's not going to happen. It has never happened. He's not going to make an exception for you in your case. It is an eternal law. Those who have accepted it, Gurumukh Antar Rav Rahya, they have taken that deep into their own being and they have immersed themselves into the bhakti, into the meditation. Here comes a new metaphor. रे मन ऐसी हरस्यों प्रीत कर जैसी मछली नीर. So the first example was from what? The plant kingdom, right? The next example is from the animal in the water, a fish. The attachment of the fish with water. Again, the argumentator mind says, well, that's not an attachment, that's a dependence. Isn't it? We are dependent on the air. We can live without food for 90 days, without water for 24 hours. But without air, the doctors will tell you, 3 seconds of lack of oxygen to the brain and you're gone. That's it. That's how much dependent we are on the air, on the oxygen. Okay. The fish is dependent on the water. Now here is a beautiful observation. I don't know how many of you are vegetarian or how many of you have tasted fish. But those who eat fish, they know that the day they eat fish, they drink a lot of water. Why? Gurbani gives an example. He says you go catch the fish, clean it up, chop it into pieces, go cook it, make a curry out of it, whatever you like. Then put it in your mouth and grind the damn thing down. And when that fish goes inside, it is so much in love with water that it's going to make you thirsty. So give me more water. Give me more water. That is the extent of its dedication. That it does not love the water when it is alive only, is what you think. The fish characteristic is such that even when it is dead, even when it has been eaten and digested by another human being, it will make him thirsty. That's when you start getting to that level of the love with that creative energy, what happens then? ज्यों अध क्यों त्यों सुख घनो मन तन शांत शरीर बिन जल घड़ी ना जीवई प्रभ जाने अब पीर. So what is the water here? Water is the creative energy. Who's the fish here? The human who is desirous of becoming a part of it. So unless that level of intensity develops, ज्यों अधक्यो त्यों सुख घना. As that attachment, adhakyo means increase. As it increases in intensity, you start getting closer. Sukh ghana, keeps on getting deeper. And you will notice a miracle, which is all of the so-called tension start melting away. And you are surprised that you haven't done anything. Nothing around you have changed in terms of environment, in terms of money, in terms of the health situation, in terms of social situation. Nothing has changed. The people come and go the pretty much same way. But you yourself, from inner being, start coming to a certain peaceful level, which is मन तन शांत शरीर बिन जल घड़ी ना जीवे. Get to that stage where just as a fish cannot survive outside the water for even a moment, you should not feel comfortable without his memory. Okay? So now the example, see how it is building. Vegetation, the creation below the water. The next example, creation above the earth. The example is, रे मैं ऐसी हर्ष्यों प्रीत कर जैसी चात्रक में. Now we have talked about chatrik, the bird. Papaya. What is that? Papaya in English? What is that called? I mean, I know papaya. In our language, papaya is also a bird, and chatrik is the same. I don't know what the English word is. This is a bird which only sings, pew 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 pew, and it drinks the water that comes straight from the rain. It cannot drink the water from the ground.
But it does then.
I don't know what the name of the bird is in English. So maybe you can look up in the internet and see what that bird is. It may be indigenous to that part of the world anyway. I don't know if anybody has seen on this part of the world. But there's a bird whose body construction is such that when it puts the mouth like this and try to drink it, there is a little hole here. It flows out. So he cannot quench his thirst. The water has to come. He has to keep the mouth open like this. And as the rain comes down, it has to fall straight into his mouth to go down, to quench the thirst. So even if the water is available everywhere else, it's completely useless for him. How is that applicable to the human life? When we are desirous of something, we pick a process, we pick a method, pick a technique and try to fulfill our desire with that method. If it doesn't work and somebody says, well, don't do this, do that, we immediately shift our alliance and we go to that side and say, okay, fine, I'll do this. And if it doesn't work there, I'll go do that. In other words, we really have no dedication or attachment to anything other than our own self-motive. And we don't care who fulfills that desire. And Gurbani says, then that's not called love, does it? Look at that chatrik, look at that bird. It also has a desire, which is, I need to be fulfilled. But if somebody says, go drink water from the ocean, he says, I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to sit here and keep on praying for that rain drop to come down and fall straight into it. That's it. It may be available on a well, in a river, in a canal, in a little gutter. So what? I'm not moving. At least there is dedication.
So the bird must be able to sustain all this time without
It does.
till the rain comes.
Yeah. That's the beauty of creation. His body, isn't that amazing that a camel can sustain in the desert for months together? No, and they have this myth. Well, he stores water. He doesn't store water. It is the fat in the body that melts, and he keeps on using that for his energy until he can get to the source of the water. When we were doing the translation of काहे रे मन चित्ते वे उद्दम जा आहेर हर जियो परया सैल पत्थर में जंत उपाय ताका रिजक आगे कर धरया मेरे माधो जी सतसंगत मिले सो तरया गुर प्रसाद परम पद पाया सूखे कासट हरया उड़े उड़े आवे सै कोछा तिस पाछे बचरे छरया तिन कवन खिलावे कवन चगावे मन में सिमरन करया. And we talked about that these coons, the birds, I think they are called cranes, they fly,
Cranes.
right?
Crane.
They fly in formation. And for them, they can go hundreds of miles because they're living on the little river. So they sometimes go on the other side of the river to pick up the feed and come back in the evening to their own nest. And they have little birds, their children. So the argument given there is, think about that. The mother has flown away hundreds of miles. Ude ude ave sai kosa. Sa means 100, kosa means miles. Tin pache bachare charya. They have left their children behind. Tin kaman khilave. Who's taking care of those children? Tin kaman chugave. Choga pauna. Man mein simran karya. At the most, the mother can do what? Just think about them, that the children are sitting behind. That's all she can do. But those children's body structure is such that mother feeds when she comes in the night, then whatever is left, she feeds a little bit in the morning, and then she goes away. They will stay contented. For that time duration, they don't feel hungry, they don't starve, they don't die, they don't cry, nothing happens.
Don't most birds do like that? Most
No.
Feed them all day long.
Yeah. The rest of the birds do not go for the whole day. And they don't fly that far. I mean, they mostly collect from the neighborhood. But this bird is known to travel a lot of distance. So what it is doing, it's building up the confidence and saying, What has happened? Why have you lost the faith? Why don't you develop the confidence that the one who has brought you this is also responsible for nurturing you and nourishing you? When you feel the pang of hunger, then understand that there is a reason why you are being given that sensation. But we don't develop that confidence. We immediately develop the habit of complaining. Right? And I was saying that Sunday in the Santa Ana also. Every one of the family that has come here from that part of the land left that land with the prime motivation, and that was my economic life should be better. And I do not know a hungry Indian or a Punjabi. All well settled, all have the children well educated, well adjusted. I don't know a family who are suffering at the hands of their children. Our children are not drug addict, or they are not into bad habits, bad companies or gangs or whatever. They all have grown up pretty well. All right, now let's take a survey and find out how many of us are really happy. How many of us are really accomplished?
I'm very happy.
But you know what I'm saying?
Do you know the biggest gang is seek and destroy? Seek and destroy is the biggest gang.
Where? They destroy?
Riverside area, the biggest gang.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sick
We have
kids.
to be number one everywhere.
I didn't know that.
There are a lot of them now.
Yeah, it could be very well. The next generation, when they have so much affluence,
Right.
what happened to this country in the early 60s?
Yeah.
The whole generation, not one day or 1 year, whole generation revolted against the creation of wealth.
Yeah. They became hippies.
Right? So if our children, some of them fall into that trap, it wouldn't be surprising. But that's not where I'm going with it. Where I'm going it, what has happened to our own inner being?
Right.
Did it buy us that peace and happiness that we thought by creating this wealth will bring it to us? I'll submit to you that if you do a deeper analysis, you will find something missing.
Aren't we still working towards that?
No, but if those who came
the
for
wealth.
wealth,
The wealth.
they have earned it,
Yeah.
they may be satisfied. Unless you probe that, have you inner
Right, the
satisfaction.
deeper level.
Deeper level.
Yeah.
Unless you probe that.
I mean, and I hear that conversation all the time. Well, I'm very happy I came here. My children are well educated, and I'm glad I would not have been able to provide myself with that type of. I mean, people who like me, pass by copying the things from everybody to become an IAS or a PCS something would have been an impossibility. So would not have been able to create that type of a life. Fine. That generation has been taken care of. What about you? How heavy a price? So where is that price coming from is where this is talking about. It is saying that if you need that inner peace, then you have to now turn your attention from where you so far have been toward where you should be. And you will notice a sudden miracle inside you. You'll be surprised the children are the same, the wife is the same, the brothers, sisters, friends. All around you are doing exactly the same. But something inside you have changed. And that has brought you to a level where ज्यों अधकाओ तेनो सुख घनो मानता न शांत शरीर बिन जल घड़ी न जीवई, प्रभ जाने अब पीर. All of that is now left to the ultimate. Because that faith now is getting, earlier it was just word of mouth. Now it is your own experience. You say, now I know it. Now I see it. Now it cannot be shaken. Now it cannot be taken away. रेमन ऐसी हर्ष्यों प्रीत कर जैसी चात्रिक मेहे, सर भर थल हरियावले, एक बूंद न पवही के. So look at this. The whole rain is making the entire earth absolutely green and absolutely, right? Sar bhar thal hariyavale. The whole thing is absolutely blooming. But look at him. All he needs is one drop. And he doesn't get that drop. But what does he do? He doesn't complain. He doesn't run out. It still sits there and says, pew, pew, pew. Can you dwell with that characteristic? That yes, I need this, yes, I want this, but only from you. Can we do that? Then if you can, you are on your way. Karam milet so paye, kirtapaya shirde. Karam mile means usti meher, karamat. When that should be your thought process. Whenever is your grace going to be toward me, I'm very, very at peace with your decision.
But you don't need to pray for it. It's
Well, the point is, if you do, then you're asking him to change what you're doing.
right.
Then that's not acceptance. That is still a very subtle way of complaining.
Complaining as
Sikhism is the only religion in the world who has brought this on the surface level and said, think about it. The whole world is talking about prayer, the power of prayer, the power of prayer, the power of prayer.
Joyce Meyer is one of the religious. She wrote a book on it. The Power
Oh,
of
a
Prayer.
gazillion of them. I mean, they are doing scientific research and trying to prove. The problem is that statistically they cannot come to the where they can prove that the number of people doing in the hope of one thing were able to manifest it. It does happen. Now, is that a coincidence? Or is it a result of the prayer?
But her preface in the book says that it's just a silent prayer. You don't have to stand there and say, God, do this, God, do that. I was going to mention that to you. That's just like what we say.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that preface is saying that.
Yeah, well, see, that is called straddling the fence. They are trying to sell something else, but somewhere in the fine print, they have to cover themselves also, so that some smart television reporter may not ask a question. But they're really selling, do this. And it happened with me here. The day I came back from there, and the very next Sunday I was in Santa Ana, and one of the young men came to me and said, when I heard about you, I went to the Gyani and I gave him some money and asked him to pray for you. And I'm glad our prayer was heard. So I said, okay. When did you hear about it? And he gave me the date and etc. I was out of the hospital by the time you prayed. I don't want to destroy your faith.
But we all prayed.
But if that's what you are talking about, okay, And that's what I was. Last Sunday I was saying, oh please, for heaven's sake, next time if he calls me, don't be so attached to me. Please don't keep on calling me back. Let me go.
Don't pray for me.
don't pray for me. I'm okay.
But we all prayed though.
No, that's fine. I mean, I understand that sentiment. I appreciate that sentiment. I am honored by that.
I mean, even if we don't pray loudly in your heart, kind of like make a little inside of
Right. I
everything
know.
is
There is a thought comes.
Yeah, thought
from,
comes, the hope everything.
Yeah, that hope everything. Yeah, I understand that.
So if nobody had prayed, you would have gone? You have a purpose. You have a purpose.
No, I'm not saying that I would have gone. What I'm sharing with you is there is a book written by, what was the name of the lady who did that research? And the title of the book was Life After Life. It's a small book. And what she did,
Brian Weiss?
she Life After Life. She interviewed the people who were declared by the hospital doctors as clinically dead, and then they came back, and she went to them and talked to them if they experienced during that time frame, and invariably those who came back, they had this one common behavior, which was that they were being told that you have not finished your work in that dimension. Either the powers over there were telling them that you need to go back, or the people who were left behind, they were pulling them back to come back and to finish this work,
Or it could be that person's own conscious mind.
Yeah. Nobody really
Knows.
have a complete seal on this.
Right.
Last week I have been studying again, wanted to refresh my mind about Bardo. There is a book called Tibetan Book of Dead. Now, that part of our area is one of the most religious or spiritual group of people. So, if you go to Tibet, you will find a totally different atmosphere, whole area, because every individual is into the spirituality of the existence, and it is an offshoot of Buddhism. And there was a 12th century monk who documented this, which is what they do is, if they know somebody is passing away, is at the last moment, this is considered obligatory for the entire establishment to prepare that entity for the transition to the next dimension. So they read out of the scripture as to what are the various stages this will go through, and what are the signs of that stage, and what you are supposed to do if you want to not to come back. If you can stay focused and do those things, even after dropping the physical body, you have still the possibility of jumping off the wheel. But the problem is that if you have not trained your mind-body system to stay centered and focused through meditations and all that in physical life, at that time when it's considered traumatic transition, it becomes very difficult. So what they do is they read that loudly in the ear of the deceased. If so much time has passed, you should be at this stage and you should be seeing these signs. Out of these signs, if you pay attention to these signs, you are going to be pulled to come back. If you pay attention to these signs, you would not be pulled back.
So this is after the death.
Yeah.
One whole year.
Yeah. And that transition is called the state of bardo.
Not one whole year after that.
No. It is at that time.
At that time.
At that time. Not after that.
Not after the death, but before.
If they know the person is ready,
Dying process.
dying process. So what I did, I then put it into a Word document, all of their instructions and all that. And I have been studying and reading and so forth. First I had the urge that I should run some copies and bring it to this group. Then I thought the better of it.
Why not? Like, हमारे समाधि नहीं कहते समाधि लगा
But how does anybody know those signs?
Well, when they see somebody.
The point is that those mystic seers who in the state of samadhi have seen both dimensions, they have documented it. Now, one can accept it as that it does happen to everyone, or one can say it's all crap, nobody knows. The reason is this, I was sharing with you, that different systems have come up with different things.
I think we should have a copy of that.
So, whether you are open to other systems of thought or not,
Sure. It's just a
Right.
thought process.
It's good to be ready.
Then you got to know what you have to do.
yeah, no, and
Okay.
and to just again to wrap this thing up, I personally had the opportunity to play that role for someone here in America, and what happened that when that message got through to that soul left a sign behind that I got your message.
Wow.
And the family started completely worried and all, and they came out to me, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? I said, no, go away, it's not for you. You wouldn't understand it.
So was the sign simple? I mean, can we ask?
Yeah, it was a physical sign. So, and they all saw, what does it mean? Oh, he's alive. No, he's not alive. He's not communicating with you.
What did you do?
I was reading that.
What did you read?
I was reciting. At that time I remembered it, some of it, but I didn't remember all of it. So I was giving some initial signs as to what that traveler should be observing. And I was distinguishing, if you pay attention to this side, you are going to get distracted. So stay focused on this and stay centered on that and stop the worry of the behind. Move on. Don't look backward. Because when the body transitions, the most difficult part out of that is acceptance. What has happened to me? And the desire to be able to tell, I'm okay, don't worry about it, I'm okay. Don't worry about it.
And your friend had asked you to do this.
Yeah, he did.
You told us.
Yeah. He knew it, that, and he said, give me a promise that you don't tell anybody. Yeah. So, if any one of you want, I mean, it's on my laptop. It's about 18 pages of it, and I'll email to any one of you if you want, but otherwise, that's not the topic of today. What it's basically saying, the reason that conversation came up, is that actual belief, does it stay unshaken? The chatrik, if it does not get that drop, does it shake his faith? The answer is no. Are you at a state of mind even today that this scripture is saying to you, develop this characteristic? Are you really believing it? Or is it just a new information? Because if you believe it, you don't need to learn, study, do anything more than this. You just go and put it into practice. So it's giving various examples. Sar bhar thalhar yavale ek boond na pavehi ke. The whole of the universe is getting that rain, and the greenery is spreading all over the place. But that bird is only desirous of a single drop, ek boond. And he's not getting it. Then what does he do? He says, Karam mile so paiye. If it is his grace, it will come. If it's not, I still have to wait. I don't know why he's making me wait, but he certainly does. So my faith is not shaken. There was this saint who was traveling from place to place in the one village. The whole village saw that there are a few ascetics and they are gathered over there, so they made a lot of food and then served them. Next day they did the same. The following day they did the same. They were very happy. So they prayed for them, they blessed them, and then they left that village and went to the next one. When they sat over there, they are waiting, nobody's coming. Next day is nobody coming. But the master every night prays and say, Oh Allah, thank you for this evening, and thank you for the people and the places and all that. On the third day, the disciples absolutely lost patience and said, would you stop praying for these people? They haven't given us a single even glass of water. Now, what is so good about these people? We understand from the previous village you did that, that was okay. And he says, do you know what happens to the stomach when we feed? He said, yeah, it works. Would you give the rest to your stomach of your own choice? No. See, Allah knows. You guys have eaten so much. You have been overworking your digestion system. And this villager, he had made sure that they don't come to you to feed you more. So they are doing their job, what Allah told them to do. They are not coming to you, not because they hate you or they don't like you. They are following Allah's orders. Don't feed any more to these guys. They already eaten enough. It's a way of looking at it. That if I'm going hungry, I just had an experience that somebody took me on the side and said, we have gone through so much pain, so many surgeries, etc., and this particular part of the body is still in pain. And could you please help us with this? And I said, I don't understand a statement from a Sikh like this. What can I do? Doctors have not been able to do something. Yeah. So haven't you still gotten the message? So what's the message? It's always saying, stop focusing on the little things and look at the bigger things. Go meditate.
Is this the woman with the knee?
Meditate. The purpose of the pain is what? Dukkadaru, Sukharog Bhaya. Why he is sending the pain? So that it can become the true medicine for your soul, and you are focused on your body. The pain forces you to say, oh God. So stop saying, oh doctor, oh bhai sahab.
It doesn't say, oh God, to pray. It says, oh God.
Why don't you give it to my neighbor rather than to me?
No, don't give it to neighbor either.
Anybody else but me.
Yeah.
No, don't give it to anybody.
And therein lies the lack of understanding. for the human to continuously complain and insist there should be no pain is a complete fallacy. Because if there is no pain, you would never be able to know what pleasure is.
You wouldn't know how nice it is to walk on 2 legs.
Exactly. If you had not gone through your youth, you would not appreciate, oh God. Where are those days gone when
I could jump.
I, while jumping, could pick somebody else up with me? It is the design of the nature. Stop complaining about it. How long is it going to take you to get the message?
20 years.
It's very new for us right now. We are trying to get used to it.
Well, someone was actually, actually they were talking about Mahajan. Kiran Mahajan and her husband.
Oh,
I mean, he is a tennis player.
yeah, he had heart surgery.
And he has triple bypass.
Wow.
Nobody knew.
And it's so sleepy.
And suddenly hit.
It's just a matter of aging.
Yeah.
People age in different ways.
So, this false bravado that I'm 80 years old but I can still play tennis.
How old is Easiati?
No.
No. But there are 80-year-old who play tennis. That's only.
That is actually a reason to express your gratitude rather than to laugh at look at this guy. Because if you have that faith, if you have that developed that quality, only then you can get closer to the objective, which is what Gurbani is trying to pull us into that and say, Karam mile so paiye. That is His grace. You have it. Be grateful. Kirta pe asir de. He is going to give it to you whenever He thinks that you are ready. Otherwise you are not. And you can pray, you can complain, you can do whatever you want. And all it will do, increase your exasperation and frustration more. More effort do you put into this, whether it's in terms of money, the time, and the meeting the people, doing this jadoo, this tuna, this, that, this. It doesn't matter what you do. You need to come back to and say, I have been sent a message, I better listen to it. So, if He has told you to take rest, then get the message. Close your eyes and start looking inside, and don't get up from your sofa or from your bed, and if you fall asleep, that's okay.
When you wake up, do the same thing.
Same. Don't get exasperated by this. Use that time. It has been provided to you, because otherwise you won't take it.
Yeah.
So the nature is forcing you. And say, I am just creating this block of time for you. You've been listening to this gibberish for so long. Here is the time to put it into practice. रेमन ऐसी हर्ष्यों प्रीत कर जैसी जल दुध होए. What a model. The water and the milk. So when it is talking of milk, what it is talking about? It's talking about the fat in it. The fat content in the milk. Water turns it into milk. Okay? But look at the role it plays. Avatan ape khave, dudh ko khapana na de. Avatan. Ubalana. to boil. When you boil the milk, what is the thing that goes away first?
Water.
The water. What's left behind is the fat. Right? That's what you make the cheese out of it, or the various sweet dishes and so forth. There are different ways of converting into different things. It's a look the attachment. It's willing to sacrifice itself first in order to preserve the relationship. That's the relationship between the water and the milk. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No, say that again.
Repeat that.
The word milk is used in the sense of the content, the fat itself. The fat, in combination with the water, is what we call milk. So when we start boiling that milk, the water does not burn the fat with it. It leaves behind. It starts drying itself up. Now, how is this relationship applied to the metaphysical life? That when you have the true love with the creative energy, it is going to start creating the heat of what? Burning all the negative energy inside you. All the negative relations, all the attachments, all the greed is going to start burning this thing down. So, if your attachment is like water and milk, you would let them burn out and save your love. Because that's when it's being tested. Isn't it? If I am attached to my health and my health starts going away and I start complaining, guess what? I want to not to save my love, but save my health. And that's the model being represented.
When it's
हाँ, रे मन ऐसी हर स्यों प्रीत कर जैसी जल दुध होए आवटन आपे खवे दुध को खपन ना दे. Right? Khappan means to get destroyed. Right? The fat is not going to get destroyed. The water will destroy itself first. Right? I mean, the way it is mixed, it should be very easy to, dry out together. But that's not what happens. It keeps on saving the doodh content out of it. That's why we are able to create the separate fat separate, right? The khoa marna jada hai, all of Indian sweets are based on this principle, that they put that whole big kadaha early in the morning and whole day they are doing this. Little bit of, with a wooden pallet, they are moving it on a very slow fire. And all they are doing is making sure that the entire water flies out and what is left, that is what then there is going to be mixed with the sugar, pretty much in 50-50 ratio, and they cook it, and the moment they are frying it, moment the first oiliness comes, that it's not sticking to the kettle anymore, they pick it up and let it cool down and cut it. That's your burfi.
You just made the whole burfi.
That is your burfi.
Reveal the whole recipe.
He knows.
Try only you can.
try if it works.
I tell you,
Try if
somebody
it
must
works.
have made it very.
That's the only way to make khoa. Now,
All the
if you want to taste the true khoa, get the unprocessed milk, not the pasteurized. Don't get the pasteurized.
Right.
Go to the dairy farm and get the unpasteurized milk. And don't use it for drinking or anything else. Bring it and put it on the boil right away. And the amount of then fat you will get, that will be enough for you to make burfi for your family. Out of a couple of gallons. Okay. So what it is saying to you is, save the fat. Let the water burn. Meaning why? Save the love. Let the impurities burn. Because it is bound to happen. I'm sure that right now, the time you have taken to come here, you have made some friends or relatives mad. It is a Friday night. It's a summer vacation. What's the matter with you guys? Right? So, certain things are going to happen. So, let those attachments go away. Don't say, oh, okay. Oh, I'll do it next time. And the next time something else comes up, oh, we'll do it next time. And on and on and on. And that's what it is basically saying. Ape mel vashunya sach vadiyai de. When you develop that type of love, then ape mel vashunya. Vishunya means those who have been separated from it, vichde hoye. He would then grace you with the prasad of joining with the ultimate energy. Reman aisi harsyum preet kar jaisi chakvi sur. Now, these are two birds, chakvi and chakwa, that Kabir talk about. They are in love with the sunlight. They can only see in the sunlight. When the sun goes down, they become completely blind. They can't see anything in the night. And what happens to them, the birds will be sitting together during the day. As the night comes, even though they're sitting next to each other, they don't see it. When they speak, the other one thinks the voice is coming from the other side, and so they start flying to go on the other side. And when they go on the other side and speak and there's no voice over there, now the voice is coming from that side. So this one flies to go to that side, that one flies to go to come that side. All night, they keep on flying and calling each other. And there is a beautiful metaphor that is built around this bird. That the she member of the duo is talking to the lover and saying, can we do something about this? It's beautiful. I really love this story. So say, Chakvi kahe a chal chakveya. Asi sangal laye kada. Te bichon vele chakveya asi paran ch laye pa. Let's go. One bird is talking to the other and say, let's go to a smith, blacksmith, and get a chain made. And then tie ourselves before the sun going down, tie ourselves with a chain. Chakwa kae poliye, tenu samjna ka, je raja hove kartar di ta sangal vi tut ja. What are you trying to do? This is the destiny. And Kabir looks at both of them and say, Kabir, Chakvi jo nis bichre jaye mile prabhat. Why are you guys crying about? At least, when you separate in the night, at least you come and meet during the day. Jor nar bichre ram syo na din mile na raat.
Yeah.
Go talk to that man, that soul, who is separated from the lover, but has no possibility of meeting either during the day or during the night. You are luckier than that man who has completely broken away without any possibility of meeting day or night. Kabira, Chakvi jo nis raat nu bichre jaye mile prabhat, jo nar bichre ram syo na din mile na raat. And that's what is being talked about here. Develop. See what it's doing? It is bringing you at least be able to meet like Chakvi meets at least half a time of the 24 hours. Can you do that? If not 24 hours, can you do 12 hours? रे मन ऐसी हर्ष्यों प्रीत कर जैसी चकवी सूर. Sur means the sun, Chakvi means that bird. Khinpal neend na sovai jane dur hajur. Because they get into the illusion that my lover is far away. So they keep on flying. They don't sleep all night. Because he goes on that side and say, kuhu, kuhu, and he hears the kuhu, kuhu on this side. He says, oops, he's on that side. So and he says, oops, she's on that side. They both fly. And as they go sit on the tree, they call each other again, and the voice is still on the opposite side. And they fly again. And all night they keep on trying to sit together. Modern love khasmanu kaya sau jao na. Go to sleep. Enough is enough. I saw you once. I need my private time. Leave me alone. I mean, that is one thing that I still have problem in dealing with in the modern life, where both man and woman says, well, oh, you need some separate alone time. I need my space.
They call it quality time nowadays.
The word is quality time.
And then they have come up with these new models, all girls night out. All men night out. What is this? Oh, I love my wife very much. Oh yeah. You could have fooled me.
But they have those in olden days also. कुड़ियाँ इकट्ठियाँ होके अपने कुछ कर रही हैं. आदमी चंदे शराब पी के आते हैं.
True. I'm not talking on the social custom. I'm talking about the claim that we are in love with each other.
They all are love with each other.
So I wonder at their definition of love. The love which enjoys the separation, love which enjoys the distance.
Same thing as अगर दुख नहीं होएगा तो सुख का किमें पता लगेगा. Separation नहीं होएगी तो प्यार का किमें पता लगेगा.
Therein lies the thing. If you apply the same model with him, you will never get there. There, the model is
Separation तो
गुरु
होना चाहिए.
गुरु नानक दे सामने किसी ने लिया के 9 ਲੱਖਾ हार रखिया. Somebody brought a very expensive necklace and gave it to Nanak as a gift. And he's sitting waiting there and say, so everybody's gone and he's just sitting there and she said, would you please wear it? I want to see how it looks on you. And Guru Nanak says, I really do not have a problem in wearing the necklace you brought. But think about the moment I wear this and my lover comes and he wants to give me a hug. This distance between him and me is going to become very painful. इत्ती मंझ न समावनी जे गले पहला हार. इतना भी गैप, क्योंकि लवर दी डिजायर ए हुंदी है, not separation. Cut your skin so that I can go right inside and merge into you. That's the intensity of love. And Guru Nanak says, look at the metaphor. Itti manjana samavani. Not even this much in the middle space. Ki je gare pehla har. ਤੇ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਜਨਾਨੀਆਂ ਜੱਫੀ ਉਦੋਂ ਪਾਉਂਦੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਹਾਰ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਦਈਏ. ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਗੱਲ ਉਲਟ ਹੈ. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹਾਰ ਪਾ ਲੈ ਤੇ ਫੇਰ ਜੱਫੀ ਪਾਉਣੀ. ਇਹ ਪਿਆਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਬਿਹੇਵੀਅਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. ਇਹ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰਿਸਟਿਕਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ. So when they claim we are in love, yet I need my space, then they really have not understood that characteristic of love. They want to enjoy the attachment. And with attachment, there is a detachment. So you need the detachment so that you can enjoy the attachment. Now that I understand. But separation in love, I don't. I don't understand the term love being used in the same environment. And that's what Gurbani is saying. It's trying to define you, saying, look, if you are on that path, then khin pal neend na sovai, jane dur hajur, man mokh soji na pave, gurmukh sada hazur. See how beautifully it is characterized? That one who is following its own mind's creation, which is, you are separated than me, I am separated than you. They will be flying all night, trying to catch either. The one who has understood, they don't need to fly, they can just sit, close their eyes and see each other. Right? Manmukh soji na pave, gurmukh sada hazur. The one who understands, for him, sada, where hazur means inside, right next to. मनमुख गणत गणावणी करता करे सो होए, ताकि कीमत ना पवे, जे लोचे सब कोए, गुरमत होए ता पाइए, सच मिले सुख होए. After giving these many definitions and characteristics, Gurbani brings us home and say why this is not happening. He says the people are following their own mind. They are not listening to this. They are not grasping the manmukh ganat ganamani. They are doing what they, apniyan gallan giniyan janiyan ne. How is that possible? How is this possible? This cannot be done. That cannot be done. And they are giving argument after argument. These are all animals. These are all birds. We are not birds. We are not animals. How can you expect us to behavior for that? Fine. If you are in that mode, continue. Karta kare so hoye. Understand that the Creator, the laws are not going to change. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you are in consensus with this or not, is totally irrelevant. Nothing is going to be changing. Nothing is going to be different. Taki कीमत ना पवे जे लोचे सब कोए. Whole of the universe, creation can get together and say, we're going to change these laws. It's not going to happen. Gazillion of people for gazillion of times have been doing that and it didn't happen. Gurmat hoye tapaye sach mile sukh hoye. You follow the word of the Guru, follow the intellect of the Guru, Gurmat, then there is a possibility of you achieving that sukha. Sacha neho na tutti je satgur bhete soy. Here we are. Sacha neho na tutti. Gurbani is defining. If this is the true love, then you cannot enjoy the separation, even for a moment. If it is, understand it can be something else. Nobody's arguing that. You have a feeling of something, but it's not love. Not the way spirituality defines it. The way a particular society in time and space defines it, that's okay. Those are your definitions. They are not the ultimate. Sacha neho na tutti je satgur bhete soe gyan padarth paye tribhavan soji hoye nirmal naam na visre je gun ka gahak hoye. Gyan padarth paye. Get the true knowledge. Forget about the information that you have gathered. Get the true knowledge. When you get the true knowledge, you will get closer to the ultimate sukh, ultimate pleasure. And that is possible only when nirmal naam na visra. When you don't ever forget him, provided je gun ka gahak hoye. If you are really desirous of that, if you are not, and you say, hey, I'm okay the way I am, right? Then it's okay, fine. Completely, voluntarily, and democratic. It is your choice if you want to come on that direction. If you don't, it's perfectly okay. But then you are going through the cycles of whatever. Continue. खेल गए से पंखणु जो चुगदे सिर तल घड़ी के मोहत नाम घड़ी मोहत के चलना खेलन आज के कल जिस तू मेले सो मिले जाए सच्चा पेड़ मल. खेल गए से पंखणु means there have been lot of players. Pankhnu literally means the birds. In other words, human who came here, they played their game. Jo chugde saratal, they thought that they are actually covering the whole world. Saratal, sari tarti de utte, they are, we were talking about the Genghis Khan and those people who thought they are the controllers of the whole world. It's such like people come and go. It has been going on. It will continue so way. Understand, kadi ke mohot ke chalana, khelan aaj ke kal. This is, for them, is not a indefinite life. It's a very short, kadi mohot. A short life, they think they have conquered the world and they play the game in that way. Understand, jis tu mele so mele jaye sacha prabhamal. If there is a grace from him, those are the one who understand that secret and understand that game. Bin gur preet na haume upje, bin gur preet na upje haume mail na jaye, sohang aap pashaniye, shabd bhed pad aaye, gurmukh aap pashaniye, avar ke kare karaye. Bin gur preet na upje. And that's the key. That you need the support and guidance of those who have gone ahead of you. And that will help you to develop that type of love and attraction in that. If you don't frequent that type of company, then it will not take roots. Bin gur preet na upje, hame mail na jaye. The ego keeps on going higher and higher without that prize. Sohang aap pashaniye shabd ped batyaye. Sohang. This is the meditative name from Buddhism. Their name for ultimate creator, as for us is Vaheguru, for them it is Sohang. It's a Bodhi's name for that creative energy. You will be able to, on that path, recognize that creative energy within you once you see the secret of that word, Shabad Bhed. Once you get that secret, you will be able to see that inside. Gurmukh aap pashaniye, avar ke kare karai. There is nothing else. Avar ke kare karai. What else is there? You just need to follow the process laid out for you by those masters who have gone ahead of you. And if you follow that, there's nothing else to be done. Everything else is controlled by him. Milya ka kya meliye, shabd mile pate aaye, manmukh soji na pave, vichhad chota khaye, nanak dhargar ek hai, avar na duji jaye. So both are being compared. Manmukh soji na pave. The one who is following its own mind, its own thought process, they would continuously keep on increasing the distance. Vichhadana, dur jana. They will be going further and further away rather than getting closer. And then what happens? They then suffer the pangs of the plus and minus. Chota khai, right? Pain and pleasure, right and wrong, sukha or dukha. They keep on getting slapped around that way. Nanak dar ghar ek hai, avar na duji jaye. Understand that this is a universal single law. No exception for anyone around the world. Dar ghar ek hai. Only one place, only one person, only one entity for everyone. Avar na duji jaye. There is no second one where you can create a parallel system. Now pay attention to this. It's not saying follow me. Right? It's not saying our system is the only one. It's saying there's only one place to go. Only one statement to achieve. And anything that gets you there is fine. If that's not getting there, everything else is a waste. So that concludes the 11th hymn.